Hi everyone, welcome to Mr. B's learning channel. Today our topic is remainder and factor theorem. That is the first topic under differential calculus. Remainder and factor theorem. Before I explain remainder and factor theorem, you must know what you mean by remainder and factor. I will show you very fast. That is, when you divide a number, let me write 9. Let me write the number 9. When I want to divide 9 with 2, how many times 2 in 9? 4 times. You all know that one. Then 4 times 2, 8. You have to write it under 9. Then subtract, you will get 1. So this 1 is known as the remainder. Clear? A remainder. Then this 9 is dividend. Clear? Then this 4 is known as quotient. And this 2 is known as a divisor. So the dividend 9, we can write it quotient 4 times divisor 2, then plus remainder. So you studied this one in the junior grade, you know that one, because I just want to get an idea of remainder and factor before I move to theorems. Okay. Now coming to factor. See, I will show you another example. If you divide 12 with a number 4, we can divide 12 completely. That is 3 times 4 is going to be 12. When you divide, you will get 0. 0 means there is no remainder. So the number 0, if you get it, there is no remainder. Clear? So 12 we can write what? The dividend 12 we can write 4 times 3 we get it. It's clear? So that is going to be 12, right? So at least you get an idea what you mean by a remainder and a factor. Now coming to this remainder and factor theorem. We are doing the same process, but we are using. See, so before I show you an example, let's go to the definition first. See, the remainder and factor theorem. If a polynomial f of x is divided by a linear polynomial ax plus b, then see, when you are dividing a polynomial. What do you mean by a polynomial? It's an expression consisting of variables and coefficient. You know the quadratic one, you know that one, linear one, quadratic one. Now you are going to study cubic one. Then from the linear polynomial, if you solve and find the value of x, that x value, if you substitute in the function that is given or the one that you are going to divide, if you get a remainder r, means that is remainder theorem. Or after the substitution, if you get 0, means that is going to be factor theorem. And in factor theorem, ax plus b is going to be a factor to f of x. Okay, I will explain with an example. Look at here. F of x is given. It's a polynomial. It's a quadratic, right? Then you are going to divide by x minus 3. Find the remainder. So what you have to do, first take the divisor. What is here? X minus 3. Equate to 0 and find the value of x. What is that? 3. This 3 you have to substitute in this polynomial or the function. X replaced with, that is f of 3 is equal to 3 square plus 2 times 3 plus 1. I replace x with 3. When you do this one, you will get what? 9 plus is going to be 6 plus 1. That is going to be 16. This 16 is the remainder. That is the remainder theorem. Clear? Which means x minus 3 we cannot divide the function completely. See, you know the very same answer you can get it if you go with the normal division. That also I will show you, though you don't need it here, but I will show you the way I showed the previous examples. See, we have the dividend is x square plus 2x plus 1. And you are going to divide this one with what? X minus 3. How do you divide? So here we are using, first you are looking for a quotient. For that, because you are using a method here, take the x value, then think about which number multiply x going to be x square. That is x. That x you have to write it here. Then this x, part of quotient, multiply it to the factor and write it under this dividend. So x times x is x square. Then x times minus 3 is minus 3x. Then subtract it because you are dealing with the algebraic fraction. Then subtract is, so this is going to be 0. This is, when you subtract it, is going to be what? 2x minus, that is going to be 5x. 2x minus, we are subtracting, minus 3 is plus 3, it's 5x. Then this number, just write it down as it is. Then you have to repeat the same process. That is, which number, when you multiply x, is going to be 5x. That is 5, you all know that one. 5 times x, 5x. Then 5 times minus 3 is going to be minus 15. Then subtract it. So 5x minus 5x is going to be 0. Then plus 1 minus 15 is going to be 1 plus 15. That is 16. See? But you don't need to do like this. This is quite easy. So we got the remainder here. This is the remainder theorem. Okay? Then what is the factor theorem? I will show you with another example. Here I'm using the same function. That function is f of x is equal to x square plus 2x plus 1. If I divide this one with x plus 1. Okay, just I'm going to check will I get a remainder. So first you have to take the linear and equate to 0, then x value is minus 1, right? We got minus 1. Then this minus 1 substitutes in the function, that is f of minus 1. It's going to be minus 1 square plus 2 times minus 1 plus 1. That is going to be minus 1 square is 1 plus 2 times minus 1 is minus 2, then plus 1. So you will get what? 0, which means x plus 1 is a factor. Do you understand? X minus x plus 1 is a factor. Clear? So this one is the factor theorem, and this one is the remainder theorem. Remainder theorem means find the x value, substitute, you will get a remainder. Factor theorem is find the x value from the linear factor, substitute, you will get a 0. That is factor theorem. It's clear. Now we are going to do some examples. First example is f of x is equal to x cube minus 3x square plus 2x minus 15. Find the remainder when it is divided by x minus 1. I will show you very easily. That is, x minus 1 is equal to 0. The x value find out. Easy way we can do it is going to be 1. Then substitute in the function. That is, f of 1 is equal to 1 cube minus 3 times 1 square plus 2 times 1. When you substitute, use a bracket, that will help you a lot. Then this one, when you do it, you will get the answer minus 15. You can use the calculator or one by one, logically also you can do it. Mental arithmetic, that way also we can do it. The answer is going to be minus 15, which means minus 15 is the remainder. Clear? So it has a remainder, so x minus 1 is not a factor because you got a non-zero number. After the substitution, if you get a 0 means x minus 1 is a factor. This one is a non-zero one, which means minus 15 is a remainder. Let's move to the next example. F of x is given, and if x minus 1 is a factor, they said that it is a factor, then find the value of p. So f of x is not a completed one. We can see that the coefficient of x square is p. So you have to find the value of p if x minus 1 is a factor. Factor means when you take the x value, substitute here, it will give you 0. That is definitely, because they said that it is a factor. Clear? So then we are going to use that equation to find the value of p. So I know that since x minus 1 is a factor, x minus 1 is equal to 0, that is x is equal to 1. I'm going to substitute this 1 in this expression. It's expression, that is minus is there, x I'm replacing with the 1 all cube plus p times 1 all square plus 1 minus 2. I know that when you substitute, what will be the answer? Answer must be 0, isn't it? Because it's a factor. So I can use this equation, that is minus 1 cube is 1, plus p times 1 square is 1, that is p itself, plus 1 minus 2 is equal to 0. See, I got an equation. Now I can solve and find the value of p. So it's going to be p minus 2 is equal to 0, that is p is equal to 2. See, I got the value of p. Here I used the idea of factor theorem. I know that factor theorem, when I substitute, answer will be 0. Clear? Let's do one more example. Then after that we can wind up this video. Next one is a function is given. Here two unknown values are there, p and q. See, then you have to find the value of p and q. Find p and q, but here two factors are given, x plus 2 and x minus 1. So find the value of p and q. Since we have to find two unknowns, somehow you have to get two equations in p and q, then solve simultaneously. In all the situations like this, you have to do like that. So I know that x plus 2 is a factor, which means I'm taking x plus 2 and equate to 0. That is x is equal to what? Minus 2. Okay, it's a solution. I know that. I know that one, since it is a factor, if I substitute minus 2 in the that expression, I know that it is going to be 0 because it's a factor. So I am substituting, that is minus 2 all cube. I am substituting here, okay? Minus 2 cube plus p times minus 2 all square plus q times minus 2 minus 6 will be 0. I know that because it's a factor. There will not be any remainder. So it's going to be minus 8 plus minus 2 square is 4p minus 2q, then minus 6 is equal to 0. That is 4p minus 2q minus 14 is equal to 0. That is 4p minus 2q is equal to 14. Now I can see that I can divide, I'm going to reduce this. I am going to simplify by dividing 2 both sides. So it's going to be 2p minus q is equal to 7. You will get it. One equation in p and q. Clear? Then I have to look for one more equations like this. For that I am using the next factor. What is that? X minus 1. It is also a factor that is given in the question. X minus 1 is equal to 0, that is x is equal to 1. Now I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the minus 2. Since it is a factor, I can substitute 1 in the expression. So it's going to be 1 cube plus p times 1 square plus q times 1 minus 6, and answer is 0, I know, because it's a factor. That is 1 plus p plus q minus 6 is equal to 0. That is p plus q. 1 minus 6 is minus 5 is equal to 0. That is p plus q is equal to 5. See, I got second equation. Now I am almost close to the answer. We are looking for p and q. We got two equations in p and q because two factors are given. It's clear. Now I am going to solve simultaneously. I am going to solve simultaneously these two equations. Different ways we can do it. We can go with a general method, that is the simple equation. That is the second one. From that I am finding the value of p is equal to 5 minus q. Okay, here I used the second equation. From second equation I am finding the value of p by sending q other side is going to be 5 minus q. Clear? This now the p value, the value of p, I am substituting in 1, isn't it? This is how we do simultaneously solving method, isn't it? We know that when you studied in grade 10. So the value of p I am substituting in equation number 1. Wherever I see p, I can write 5 minus q. That is what is equation number 1? 2p minus q is equal to 7, where that p I am going to replace with the 5 minus q. Remember, 5 minus q is a binomial. Two terms are there. When you substitute, use bracket, don't forget. That is 2 bracket. In the place of p, I am going to write 5 minus q. Minus q is equal to 7. That is when now I'm going to open the bracket. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times minus q is minus 2q. Then minus q is equal to 7. See, now in this equation I can see only q, so I can solve it very easily. So it's going to be minus 3q, isn't it? Then 10 I am going to send, the other side is going to be 7 minus 10. So what will I get? Minus 3q is equal to 7 minus 10 is minus 3. Therefore, q is equal to minus 3 divided by minus 3. Answer is 1. Clear? Now I can find p very easily. I can look for any equation which contains p and q. Or I can take this one easily because it is starting p is equal to. That is, I know that p is equal to 5 minus q. Substitute q there. That is, p is equal to 5 minus 1. That is, p is equal to 4. So I got it. P is equal to 4 and q is equal to 1. See, so these are the questions based on factor and remainder theorem. So I hope you enjoyed this video. In my next video, we are going to discuss about cubic function. How can we factorize a cubic function? Okay, that you will see in my next video.